My fiancé smiled and said, "People only include you because of me. Alone, you don't stand out at all." I answered, "Good to know." So I stopped joining her everywhere that week. 3 days later, her closest friend leaned in, whispered something, and my fiancé turned completely pale. My name is Ethan, 29 male, and I spent 2 years engaged to a woman who slowly convinced me I had no worth unless I was standing beside her. I met Taylor when I was 27. She was charming, extroverted, and the kind of person who lit up a room the moment she walked in. She had friends everywhere, knew every host, and somehow always ended up at the center of any conversation. I was very different, more quiet, more comfortable with small, meaningful gatherings than loud crowds. I was the type of person who enjoyed dinner with a few close friends rather than parties full of strangers. Somehow, our opposite natures created a balance. For a while, it worked. She pulled me into her world of bright lights and busy nights, and I helped keep her grounded when everything around her felt too fast. We got engaged after 18 months, and for a long time, I believed our relationship was strong. Looking back now, I realized the cracks were already there, small, sharp lines I never recognized as warnings. Taylor often positioned herself as the reason I had any social life at all. She would laugh softly and say things like, "Thank God I brought you out tonight. You'd never leave the apartment otherwise." Or she would tell people, half joking, half serious, "He'd probably fade into the walls if I didn't introduce him." At first, I thought it was harmless teasing. But slowly, it shifted. The jokes became statements. The statements became explanations. And soon, they became reasons. Reasons why she thought we were invited places. Reasons why she believed I didn't matter without her beside me. Around 4 months ago, her comments grew sharper. We were getting ready for a coworker's birthday party when she gave me a look and said, "You should try harder to talk to people tonight. I don't want them thinking I dragged along dead weight." She said it lightly, as though it was a simple suggestion. But the words "dead weight" echoed in my mind long after she walked away to finish her makeup. She told me I needed to be more engaged, more entertaining, more social. Anything but who I naturally was. So I tried. At the party, I asked questions, smiled, laughed, and did everything I thought she wanted. But I could see it in her eyes all night. I still wasn't enough. 2 weeks before everything fell apart, we went to a dinner party hosted by her close friend Rebecca. 8 couples, a fancy restaurant, and a table full of people trying to outdo each other with travel stories and promotions. I didn't speak much, not because I was nervous, but because I simply had nothing useful to add to conversations about private yachts and high-level corporate moves. Throughout the night, Taylor kept flashing me those tight, pressured looks. The ones that silently said, "Say something, fix this, you're making me look bad." And on the drive home, she finally snapped. She told me I barely spoke 10 words. She said my quiet nature embarrassed her. She said my silence made her look bad. When I asked how my calm, polite presence could possibly damage her reputation, she pulled into the parking lot, turned to me, and spoke with harsh honesty. "People only invite you because of me. They don't want you there. They just tolerate you because you're with me. On your own, you're forgettable." She said the word forgettable like it was a fact written in stone. And even though her voice was calm, the words cut deep. Not because I believed them at first, but because she believed them so easily. I went inside quietly while she continued talking about how I needed to adjust my personality, how I should change myself to fit better into her world. I nodded, went to bed, and lay awake thinking about everything she said. The next morning, a clear decision formed in my mind. If people only invited me because of her, then I would stop going anywhere with her. I wanted to see if her words were true or if she had been painting a picture of me that didn't match reality. That week, she had 3 events planned: Wednesday drinks with work friends, Friday dinner at Rebecca's again, and Saturday brunch with her college roommates. Normally, I would have gone with her without question. But that Wednesday, when she asked what time I would be ready, I simply said, "I'm not going tonight." She looked confused. I reminded her of her own words. She tried to backtrack, tried to explain that she didn't mean it that way. But I was calm. I told her I would stay home and be forgettable, where it wouldn't embarrass her. She went out without me and came home quiet, not ready to continue the argument. Friday, I refused again. Saturday morning, she was clearly nervous. The brunch group was important to her, the people she spoke to daily. She tried to order me to come. I refused. She went alone, and came back looking like she'd seen a ghost. Pale, shaken, wordless. When I asked what happened, she finally told me what her friend Jin whispered to her. And whatever those words were, they turned her entire perception upside down. She told me that at brunch, Jin pulled her aside and asked why I suddenly wasn't attending anything. When Taylor lied and said I was busy with work, Jin didn't believe her. Instead, she said something that left Taylor speechless. That everyone had been asking about me. Not about us. Not about why I was missing. About me. She said people liked me because I actually listened when others spoke. Because I remembered things about their lives. Because I never tried to outshine anyone. She even told Taylor that some people felt relieved when I was around because I balanced Taylor's intensity. Hearing this crushed Taylor's self-image. She always thought she was the star, and I was the background. But her friends saw it the other way around. When Taylor finally looked at me, I saw genuine uncertainty in her eyes. Something I had never seen before. She realized she had been wrong, deeply wrong, about everything she believed about us. And that was the moment everything began to change. The days after that brunch felt heavy, like we were both walking through a space filled with things we had avoided for too long. Taylor tried her best to act like everything was normal. But I could see the way her mind was turning over every word Jin had told her. She had spent years believing she was the center of every social circle, believing she was the one who shined and that I simply stood beside her like a quiet shadow. Now she was seeing a different picture, one where people respected me, valued me, and actually looked forward to talking to me. Her confidence, the same confidence she wore like a crown, now looked like something fragile resting on shaky ground. On Wednesday, she asked if I wanted to join her for drinks with her work friends. Her voice was soft, almost careful, like she was afraid to say the wrong thing. I told her no. She went alone and returned early, shoulders low, eyes tired. She told me Kelly had asked about me, mentioning the book conversations we used to share. I honestly didn't even remember the conversations being anything special. But to Kelly, they meant something. Taylor told me I never realized when I was making people feel seen and heard. She said she had always been too busy performing, too busy trying to be the most interesting person in the room, to notice that I was connecting in a quiet, genuine way she never could. On Friday, something even more unexpected happened. Rebecca texted me directly, saying she heard I was busy, but that there was a small dinner next week and they would love for me to come. She said there was no pressure, but you're missed. I showed Taylor the message. She looked at it for a long time before whispering that I should go. I asked, "Without you?" And she nodded. She could see it clearly now. Her friends weren't inviting us because of her. They were inviting me because they wanted me there. And for the first time, she realized what that meant for us. Later that day, Taylor showed me a long message from Jin. It was brutally honest, the kind of honesty that stings but still feels real. Jin described how Taylor always took over conversations, how she turned every story back toward herself, how she dismissed people without realizing it. And the line that broke Taylor completely was simple. The only time you're actually bearable is when Ethan's there. He softens you. When he's not around, you're exhausting. I read the message slowly, feeling the weight of every word, then gave her phone back. She whispered that she had spent 2 years telling me I was forgettable, when the truth was she was afraid people liked me more than they liked her. She said she needed time to understand herself, to fix the way she treated people, and to fix how she treated me. We didn't end things right away. For a while, we tried to work through it. Taylor started therapy, trying to untangle the years of insecurity she had covered with loud confidence. I returned to social events but set firm boundaries about respect. We tried to rebuild, but 3 months later, we realized the truth neither of us wanted to admit. The damage was too deep. She had spent 2 years telling me I had no value, and even though she regretted it, even though she tried to change, I couldn't forget those words. She also couldn't ignore that her social circle preferred me over her. It hurt her in ways she could never fully explain. In March, we called off the engagement. The break was calm, sad, and honest. We both knew the relationship had been built on her needing to feel superior and me slowly losing pieces of myself trying to keep the peace. After we split, something I never expected happened. I kept getting invited to everything. Rebecca's dinners, Kelly's book club, game nights with people who used to be Taylor's coworkers. They weren't inviting me because of her anymore. They were inviting me without her, in spite of her. And that was when I finally understood the truth. I was never forgettable. I was just quiet. And there is a difference. A big one. Taylor moved to another city 6 months after we split. She wanted a fresh start, new friends, and a chance to become someone who didn't need to tear others down just to feel tall. I honestly hope she found that version of herself. She had the potential to be charismatic without being cruel. She just never learned how to do it without pushing others below her. As for me, I learned something important too. Being quiet doesn't make you invisible. Listening doesn't make you weak. And being the person who makes others feel heard is a kind of strength many people don't understand until they lose it. People often ask if I felt vindicated when everything fell apart, when her own friends told her that I was the one they missed, the one they valued, the one who brought balance. But the truth is, I didn't feel like I won anything. I didn't want her to suffer. I didn't want to be right. I just wanted to understand whether her words about me were real. In the end, I wasn't happy she was wrong. I was sad that we had both spent so long believing something that was never true. The cruelest thing someone can do is convince you that you don't matter. And the kindest thing you can do for yourself is test whether that's really true.